Okay, so far we have been graphing from vertex form, which makes it pretty easy to find the vertex and graph the parabola. We are going to start graphing from standard form in 8.4. So remember, this is standard form. When it's y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, when it's in this format, it's not easy to determine the vertex and the other points. So we have to use what we call the vertex formula. Okay, so for the vertex formula, we can use it comes from standard form, and it helps us calculate the x and the y coordinate, which we call h and k. Okay, so if you want to find the x coordinate, which we call h, it's going to be negative b over 2a, where b is the coefficient on the x and a is the coefficient on the x squared. Once we do an example, we'll be able to see it better. Okay, after we find what the h value is, h is the x coordinate. To find the k value, which is the y coordinate, we substitute our value for h into the equation for x and solve for y, or in this case, k. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at example A. Okay, the first thing is I want to identify what A, B, and C are. So if I look at this, A is the coefficient on the x squared, so that's a 2. B is the coefficient on the x, which is a positive 8, and C is the constant at the end, which in this case is -1. After I do that, I want to use the vertex formula. So the vertex formula says h equals negative b over 2a. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that formula. Once you get used to this, you will not rewrite it every time, but we're still learning it. And remember, h is the x coordinate. Okay, now in the numerator, it says negative b. What's b? B is 8, because I just wrote b equals 8 right here. Okay, over 2 times a. What's a? A is 2 because I identified it right there. So that's how I plug in to find h. Then I just have to simplify this to find h. So in the numerator of negative 8, 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. So the x-coordinate of the vertex is negative 2, and we call that h. If you really want, you could call it x as well. Okay, now to find the y-coordinate, which we call k, we substitute my value for h into the equation for x. Okay, so this is my equation. I'm going to take the negative 2 and plug it in here, and that's going to give me my k value. And k is really just the y value. Okay, so k equals, and then I see from above, the equation is 2x squared plus 8x minus 1. So 2 times x squared plus 8x minus 1. Okay, in the x spot, I plug in my h value, which is negative 2. Okay, and then I evaluate this very carefully. 2 times negative 2 to the second power is positive 4. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. 2 times 4. 8 minus 16 minus 1 is negative 8 minus 1, negative 9. And if you want to, you could put that in a calculator, which means my vertex is going to be h comma k. For h, I got negative 2. For k, I got negative 9. So this is going to be negative 2 comma negative 9. We're not going to graph it today. We're just going to practice finding the vertex. But that's the whole process. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at B and try to do the same thing. Okay, for the first step, I'm just going to identify the A, B, and C. Okay, so A is the coefficient on the x squared. Remember, if there's nothing there, it's like a 1. B is the coefficient on the x, and C is the constant. Okay, now the formula is going to be h equals negative b over 2a. I'm going to rewrite that, although when you get better at this, you probably won't write it every single time. Negative b over 2a, and that's just because that's the formula. So negative, what's b? B is 6 over 2 times a. A equals 1 because I wrote that just above. Okay, so negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. So I already know from my vertex, the first coordinate is going to be negative 3. Halfway done, although the second part, people I think find a little bit trickier than the first part. Okay, now to find the y value, which we call k when it's a vertex, I plug into the original equation. So I'm going to look back at the original equation. I wrote k instead of y. It says x squared plus 6x plus 11. So x squared plus 6x plus 11. And because I just found my x coordinate to be -3, I'm going to put -3 in the spots. And then I have to evaluate this. -3 times -3 is +9, 6 times -18, plus 11. You can put that in your calculator, you can do it in your head. 9 minus 18 is -9, plus 11 is 2. Or you could do the positives. 9 plus 11 is 20, 20 minus 18 is 2, or you could put in your calculator. Either way though, the y-coordinate of my vertex is going to be 2, so my vertex is at -3, 2. And eventually we'll graph that, but not today. Today we're just going to practice this. Okay, I'm going to keep going. These ones just have something that's a little bit different on it, but it's going to be the same style every single time. Okay, so first I'm going to identify A, B, and C. Let's see, A is, it's negative x squared, so -1. B is -10, and C is 8. I'm going to rewrite the formula. You don't have to write the formula every time, but you do need to plug it into the formula every time. -b over 2a. So -b over 2 times a. Okay, what is b? B is -10. If I do -10, it turns this to a +10. It's supposed to be negative, but because the b is also negative, they cancel to a positive. Okay, now a is -1. Okay, let's evaluate this. Okay, 10 divided by -2 is -5. So I already know the x-coordinate of my vertex is -5. To find my y-coordinate or my k value, I'm going to go ahead and plug this in to the original equation. So it's -x squared minus 10x plus 8. And I just got -5. Okay, let's look at this. So this is going to be -5 to the second power is +25. -10 times -5 is +50 plus 8. So 58 minus 25 is 33. And you're welcome to put that entire expression in the calculator. I care more about knowing you know how to do it. So my vertex is at -5, 33, which is high, but if we're not graphing it, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, it says, for D, it says y equals 3x to the second minus 6x. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and find my A, B, and C. So A is the x squared, B, -6x, C is not there. So C is 0, which happens sometimes. It's okay if you get a 0 for the B or the C. It occasionally happens. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite the formula. Okay, so B is -6. So if I do -6, it actually switches it to a +6 over 2 times A. So I'm going to get 6 divided by 6, which is 1. Okay, so I already know the x-coordinate of my vertex will be 1. To find my y-coordinate, let's see, it's 3 times x squared minus 6 times x. And for my x-coordinate, I got 1. Okay, exponent first. So 3 times 1 squared is 1. 3 minus 6 is -3. So the y-coordinate of my vertex is -3. And my vertex is at 1, -3. And then we will graph this next class.